In any country where progress is expected to be made in different areas and sectors in such a way that is expected to be significant and, if you like, radically transformative, it means that the judicial and legal system in such a country must be such that public trust has been, if you like, integrated into it. In the case of Nigeria, it has been a long, drawn-out conversation as to how much citizens put their trust or have confidence in the legal and judicial system in this country. We still live in a time when people are reluctant to trust court procedures on account of either personal experiences that they've had over time or things that they've heard or read about. That again has now raised the concern as to how do we ensure that the ground norm, which is the Constitution, continues to be the overriding factor. And of course, as we know it, the very bedrock of our legal system, and then of course, the issue around rule of law. Whether you like it or not, we've had government after government in this country talking about rule of law across board. I mean, from top to bottom, subnationals, everywhere. But whether we've seen exemplary leadership in that regard or not remains a thing that has been subjected to debate over time. And that very sadly also extends to our electoral process in this country, where every time there is litigation bordering on election matters, it still becomes a dicey conversation where in recent times, again, very unfortunately so, we're now being told that it is judges that are on trial, not, well, as it's supposed to be the other way around. This is how we welcome you to this edition of Scale of Justice. I'm Uyi Agmofwegwe. When we return after this break, it will be time to put the program on the road full throttle for you. Please do stay with us. At the recently concluded annual general conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, several issues popped up as always, and many of them, as expected, bordered on national interest. Some of them, of course, as expected again, rule of law. And one of those very intensive sessions had to do with how the lawyers need to realize their role in ensuring that rule of law is entrenched and then, of course, continue to strengthen this phenomenon today, tomorrow, and every other day afterward. My guest on the program today, who incidentally was not at this event but understands these issues very well, will help us find science, cut through the noise, and establish context and perspective in the course of this conversation. I'm joined by Barrister Ziggy Usman, apparently a legal practitioner and a public affairs commentator. Thank you so very much, Barrister Usman, for making our time for today's discussion.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Like I already told our viewers, you were not in Enugu for this conference. But again, you are not a stranger to virtually all of those issues that were raised, whether it's issues around intimidation from law enforcement or politicians trying to circumvent the law, in some cases practically undermining the rule of law as we know it. I mean, these are issues you're very conversant with.
Very well.
But one of the ones that does stand out from this conference is the role of lawyers in ensuring that the rule of law is not relegated to the background. Help our viewers understand how lawyers can help to drive this conversation while citizenry follows.
Okay, thank you. You know, from the inception, the theme of the conference itself is stand out, stand tall.
Right.
That's the theme of the conference. Now, I want to believe the aim of that theme was to give the lawyers some sense of belonging in the way and manner they handle issues that has to do with the legal practice in Nigeria. Because time without number, there are a series of intimidations from government of the day and some top politicians and other well-meaning Nigerians that in their own context of defining what law is, and rule of law. In as much as that rule of law goes against their interests, it's no longer a rule of law to them. It becomes something else. So they fight it with all their powers, and because they have all the contacts and they have the security at their fingertips, they send them to go after any other person that wants to stand for justice. Now, over time, lawyers have been left to now with their to now left by to stand alone most times. And what makes them to stand out is one thing: your belief system. As a lawyer, your belief system. You are either a Christian or a Muslim. What did you stand for? What did you believe for? Of course, we all took that oath to make sure that we uphold we uphold the rule of law. We make sure that the justice is being served for all Nigerians, and a lot of things that we said we would do, and that is one of our core mandates as lawyers to do that. Now, in ensuring that, we have to take some measures as well, and that was one of the reasons this team of stand out, stand tall was even brought to be, so that the discussions will be rallying around that, to give the lawyers some sense of belonging in how to parade themselves and handle issues. There are issues that are coming. If it comes to you, it will take the grace of God for you to even stand to handle the matter proper, because of the pressure that comes with it, because of the pressure that comes with it, and from different angles, be it spiritual, physical, or whatever. But as God will have it, once you have a belief system that stands for the truth, and you are conscious, and you want to leave a legacy, and you want to protect a name, you will stand and do the right thing. No matter how the threats, no matter how the intimidation, you will stand and make sure that the proper thing is done. Because the law you are seeing is for all. And we stand for justice. We stand for justice and fairness. And where this justice is not being served to individual, that is where the lawyers come up to make sure that that thing has to be applied appropriately and in accordance to the rule of law. And that is what lawyers stand for every day in this country.
I keep talking to lawyers every now and then, of course, on account of the kind of work I do, and on the strength of this program, Scale of Justice. Some of them on television, others off television, and there seems to be a consensus that favors the argument that we can't put the blame altogether on politicians of how Nigeria has gotten to this bad place where it is today with regards to rule of law, without also bringing, or if you like, dragging lawyers generally into the foray. Because the point being made in this regard is that in most cases, it is lawyers that either embolden politicians or even lead them on, especially, for example, where it has to do with cases that border on tribunal, of course, outcomes of elections, and all of that. Well, they say in every 12 you have a Judah.
Yes. Yeah, you see, like I did mention earlier on, it all boils back to your belief system.
Your set of values.
Set of values. What are your belief system? What are your values that you put in place? And, there's this saying that says, if you cannot beat them, you join them. That is one of the tricks they use in order to now cajole most people, or most lawyers, in order to go to dance to their tune. And what are those things they do? By making sure that once they know that you are the kind of person that you are not contented, you are ambitious, they make you what you want to be. And thereafter, you answer to their beck and call. Whatever they say, you do. And at that point, you can't say no. Because they know you, they already read who you are, what you want, and give you what you want already. So your next assignment is to do as they say. If they say turn right, you turn right. Even when the law is not saying turn right, they will find a way and give them that cover. But it all depends, like I said, in your belief system. What did you believe, your core values? What did you believe on? There are a lot of them, intimidation from here and there. They even do that, use government agencies, like, we've been discussing off the air about this Mark Ozokome. What happened to him some times ago? Because of a matter he's handling, and they went and freeze his account by the EFCC, and compelling him to compromise because of that matter. But look at this kind of nature. Somebody that has been that level, and they are trying to even intimidate him. So you can imagine how things are done in this country. But as God will have it, he knows what he's going for. Right. He knows he's right, and he knows how to go about it. He stand his ground. At the end of the day, he did what he's supposed to do. He did not compromise, no dance to what they said. Because they called him, his colleagues were the one that calling him that, come on, just forget about this thing. Come, let's do this thing. Just this matter you're doing, leave it and let's do it. He said, no, I will start, because he knows what he stands for. He knows his core values. He knows he knows his belief system. So he stand for the truth and did what he's supposed to do. And at the end of the day, he was not intimidated as they thought he would have been intimidated. So not all lawyers can withstand this kind of pressure. Some will immediately do that, they'll let's settle. And you get it and you go. Because at the end of the day, it's not your father's work. It's not that you're doing for it. You are just doing it for humanity. Yeah. Because this thing, we're not doing it for ourselves. It's very rare for you see a lawyer being the one on trial and he's being tried. It's very rare, even though it happens. But 1 out of 100, probably. Right. But mostly you are doing that to defend people. You are defending others, interests of people. Some lawyers are being killed because of protecting people. Some lawyers have been assassinated. They kidnap your family and name it. There are a lot of vices that happens and things happen to lawyers behind the scene that people do not even know. That's why some of the lawyers will say their lifestyle is something that you cannot even pinpoint, because once you begin to pinpoint, this is the house of a lawyer, this is where he works, this is where he stays, this is where he wants to hang out, you are finished. They can get you at any time. So we try to become, by all means, as like DSS operatives, not disclosing your identity to some time, not because you are afraid of, not because you are hiding something, no, but because of you are afraid of the society that we live in. Because they go by all means, and anything they want to get, they will get it by hook or crook. And at the end of the day, if you are not stable in a way, but morally sound, you will compromise. And once you compromise, then the aim has been defeated. There's no way for you to come and say that you're upholding the rule of law in any way, because you know as a fact that you have bent the rule in order to survive, per se, or to save your life.
And he must come to equity, must come with
clean hands. So how will you come and say this is it? It's only when, by the grace of God, and then the belief system, you have your values, your morals. If you have a very strong moral value and conviction, then you can be able to withstand this kind of pressure and intimidation coming from the political class and the people in the society.
Before we take a break, ideally, what should be the yardstick, or if you like, the basis on which you measure rule of law? Every time we talk about rule of law, you hear people mention U.S., people mention the United Kingdom. A lawyer once told me a few years ago that the United Kingdom does not have constitution, or a constitution as we know it. They just have a set of laws coded, guiding the entire country. All right, and then you talk about other countries in Europe that are forward-looking in terms of their legal system, their judicial system. They subject everybody top to bottom to the rule of law. Nobody's above the law and things like that. What are those countries doing differently? Because it will appear that the constitution is not as much the problem as it is the people who have custody of the law.
Well, I don't think so. The Constitution is supreme, and one of the things that makes the Constitution to be a little bit weak and not being visible, and the impact, people are not feeling the impact of the content of that Constitution, is because of the institutions in place. Now, in any nation that needs to develop, one of the things that make the country develop are the institutions already established. Right. Now, in US, for example, you see that the institutions, in terms of the judicial system, you as a president, you can never in any way manipulate them. Neither can you control them. Because they have their own belief system, they have their own strategy, they have their own, their institutions are being secured and independent of the government itself. Right. Now, and where you see the politics coming into their judicial system, you will see from the right go, you will just stop there, because you know where you're going. Because of what? The institutions are very strong. Yeah. And daily and every day, every government comes and goes, and they always try to strengthen the institution, not weaken it. But in our own country, Nigeria, the reverse is the case. What they do, they use the law to get to power. After they get to the power, they weaken the institutions, the process that brought them in, because it was the law and the rule of law that you follow to get to where you are. Now you are there, you weaken the institutions so that you will be the final umpire to decide on whatever will happen to anybody. And as God will have it, they all follow suit because of their greed and their inability to come out boldly to face the reality. Because there are two things to this. Once you stand for the truth, two things will happen to you. You are either being criticized or praised. Now, if you want to be praised, for those that know that you are saying the truth and they align with you, you come from the same school of thought with them, they will praise you that you are doing the right thing. But for those who doesn't believe in your belief system, they will criticize you. And when they criticize you, then you will now become something that they will frustrate you. And as we are in this country, almost 75% of our people are yet to understand the dynamics of how this law operates and works. The few that knows that, they put it to themselves and corner it to make sure that it only works for them and only them. And the others, because of lack of sensitization and legal education to the public, it becomes very difficult for them to understand it from the point of view. That's why anybody can come out and declare something and it works. Come to look at how the laws are being enacted in the National Assembly. Overnight, they will pass a bill and sign it, and no any public, no any debate, no any public this thing that will be called upon for people to come and
no public hearing,
no public hearing,
no extensive consultation.
You will see, from Monday to Friday, they've passed they passed the law.
First, second reading, and then
within
passes.
1 week. How will a sane nation behave like that? How? Because it has to follow. It has to do with the people. Remember, the law is not for animals.
Right.
It's for people. And they always make the law, they make sure that law will protect them in the next 20, 30 years, even when they're out of power. They look at it in that angle to make sure that law save them, protect them to that length. That's why they do, and that's why they thoroughly do, in as much as they want to obey a particular person that brought them to that seat. That's why you see in this country, it's only in Nigeria that you see that before you get to the National Assembly and get any top position, you have to go and lobby, connive with the executive, and then you work together. And then you do things. It's only in one time I saw practical rule of law during Buhari when Saraki was the Senate president.
Right.
I saw the rule of law in practice, whereby the legislature are different from the executive. And he showed that without any fear or favor. And at that period, some of us saw how law are being made.
That was the 8th Senate.
Yes, because there's no way the National Assembly the legislature are romancing with the executive. The judiciary are romancing with the executive. It doesn't augur well for any sane nation. A nation that are striving to stand on their feet to make sure that democracy, people felt the impact of democracy, and the rule of law is being upheld. There's no way.
Right. Sounds like a very tough conversation to have, definitely. But we want to take a quick break, everyone. When we return, we'll ask one more question. How did we get to certain kinds of, if you like, ideology that's been advanced these days, especially as it has to do with our judicial system in Nigeria? That and more coming shortly after this break. Please do stay with us. right, let's begin to wind down on the discussion now. So I was going to ask you, how did we arrive at this mantra? It is the judge that is on trial. I mean, a layman like myself would have thought it was the other way around. I help our viewers understand that concept.
Well, we find ourselves in that level as a result of compromise from the judicial system. And, as they're saying, that the judiciary is the hope of common man.
Right.
And where the common man cannot see any hope in that hope, they promise him in court. Of course, the accuser will be the judge. Because they said, this is the place I will have hope. And unfortunately, the person that's supposed to give you that hope is not even looking at your side. Then the question will be turned to him. He will be the one that, okay, you are the problem directly, because that is what they believe.
Right.
Ordinary layman now sees that, okay, the judge is the one in trial, because if they said the judiciary is the hope of common man, and he's not seeing that hope as it has been proclaimed or promised, then the person sitting there is the one that makes it difficult for him not to see it, not to get it out, those hope being resolved, or see that hope come to reality. Because he's not going to go and meet anybody outside, or the police, or anybody. He's the person in that seat. That's where this mantra now said that is the judge are on the trial, because the ordinary citizen now lost confidence, lost hope to some extent. We always try to give them some sense of belonging as our own part, because we cannot, no matter how things are bad, as a lawyer, you cannot, because that's our constituency. You cannot say that, no, we will try to see how you can give them some sense of belonging and give them some reasons why things are bad to some extent, because we know those things. Not that we know why those things are like that. So, but we try to explain to them in a literal way of understanding, interpretation, a literal way of interpretation that, okay, this is not the way you think.
Right.
It's because of this, and this. So give them time. Hopefully they are going to stand on, and of course, some of the judges are well doing, and they stand by the truth and do the right thing. But even at that, you have your head that supervises you. If it tells you don't go there, you can't go there.
Sure.
Because we work with seniority. If your number one said don't go there, you can't go there. No, even though you know what to do, because the number one has been called by somebody, probably, and tells him that I have interest in this, and he's telling you, be careful of this. And then you see that this matter is going on very well. Later, you see something happening, adjournment here and there, this and that. Later, they'll find a reason to say why they will not continue, whether lack of jurisdiction or something or whatever. And as far as they're concerned, because they just want to remove their hands so that it will not be seen that they are the one that perpetuate the said evil that later occur, because they want to stand clean. And even at that, they do that while shedding tears, crying. Most of those judges, they cry in secret because they don't like what they're seeing as well.
It's against conscience?
It's against, yes. And I was together with one former retired justices of the Supreme Court. And we were talking, and he was asking me some questions. And I was telling him, and I was confirming to him, yes, he was shouting, what? That if that is what they did, they wouldn't have been judiciary by now in this country. And this is somebody that probably have a house, not a serious house that you can say this is the house of a Supreme Court judge. Not
something simple, basic.
Yes, very simple, basic. That an ordinary businessman, a trader can have it. That's a judge, a retired judge, Supreme Court judge. But humble to earth, down to earth. And he was surprised that this is what he had. They said this, they said that, they said this. I said, yes, it's true. He said, what? He was shocked. That if that is how they did during their days. And you remember, during their days was more or less military.
Right. So much of force.
So much of force, but they were able to withstand and stand no matter how little, but they were able to stand. That was what led us to the democracy we find ourselves today. If they did not lay that foundation, probably, I don't think this thing will have been happening. So we expect it to be a little bit different now. Now that we're in the full democratic system, we expect it to be more different, more stronger, more powerful, as it were before. But unfortunately enough, it's getting weaker and weaker day by day.
That's quite unfortunate, but we just hope we continue to make the effort. I mean, all critical stakeholders, and especially those in the temple of justice, as they are often called, to ensure that we continually strengthen the rule of law in this country, especially on the basis of the ground norm, which is the Constitution. Yes, we know there have been calls for the Constitution to be reviewed, amended in some cases. We should ditch this Constitution 1999 as amended altogether and come up with something brand new. But it's, as they say, half-breed is better than none. So let's see how we can make the most of the provisions as contained in this Constitution, as we presently have it, and move our country from one point to the other. I would like to say a big thank you to you, Barrister Ziggy Usman.
Thank you for
coming on the program today. That's what we leave it to everyone. Uyi Agmofwebe, on behalf of my entire team here at Global Television World Headquarters in Abuja, we say we're grateful for your time with us.